The Crotchety Old Men podcast is not a registered investment, legal, or tax advisor or a broker-dealer. All investment and financial opinions expressed by or on the Crotchety Old Men podcast are from the personal research and experience of the owner of the site and are intended as educational material. Although best efforts are made to ensure that all information is accurate and up to date, occasionally unintended errors and misprints may occur. Before you invest or make any investment-based decisions, consider your own personal circumstances. You should do your own research and seek advice from a financial professional.
Well, hello again from the Crotchety Old Men podcast. What a wonderful day it is today. And so regardless of what hemisphere you're in, if you're on the Asian continent, the African continent, or you're here in the good old US of A, greetings from the Crotchety Old Men. I'm Gary Smith, one of the co-hosts of the Crotchety Old Men podcast, and joining me in the studio today is all my comrades, George Crumley and my main man, PC. What up, though, fellas?
What up, Doe? This is a nice beginning to the first of December. It's we're not going to discuss the weather anymore, but it's a great day to be together.
What up, Smitty? How you doing?
I'm doing all I can, and the easy ones twice. You know.
See, here we go.
I know that's right.
So, George, what's going on for us today, man? You know, today is
man. We got a special guest in the studio today. We got Miss Robyn Fleming, and just happens to be from Detroit. I'm sorry, from Chicago. From Chicago, your hometown, Smitty. And another coincidence today just happens to be Giving Tuesday, so we thought it'd be really, really nice to have Robyn on. Robyn is the founder and president of Share the Love Outreach Organization. And she's here today to talk to us about this 501c3 and give us some insight on how this operates, how it benefits the community. And without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Robyn. Robyn, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you. Thank you so much.
So, Robyn, tell us a little bit about the outreach program.
So, glad you asked. Share the Love Outreach Organization is the name of the 501c3 that I started. We officially became a 501c3 in 2022. And it started because back in 2020, when I felt like everybody was going through, and didn't matter what your background was, everybody needed a little help. So we officially started then, and it started with just a toy drive. And so it grew and grew until we became who we are today. And our goal basically is to help fill the gap between what a family has and what they need in order to minimize the effects of poverty on a child's life. So what that really means is we may not be able to eliminate poverty, but we can help a child get from point A to point Z as they grow up successfully. So we want to get in there and try to fill in the areas where a parent can't meet the need. And so we started with the toy drive. Now we have other programs, a book giveaway every summer to help kids have something to do during the summer. We have programs like we sponsor our teens during Share the Love Month in February. And that's a time when we help teenagers that are doing well in school and they need just a little encouragement. And what happens is a lot of the teachers, they give out of their pocket to encourage and give incentives to the kids. And so we step in and say, hey, you don't have to do that. Tell us where we can help. And that's what we do. So that's a little bit about us.
Wow. That's
Robyn, I read your bio, and it was kind of an interesting bio to me because it helped me understand a little bit about the journey that you started. So my question is this: you work for the Heartland Human Care Services of Chicago.
Yes,
So tell me how that experience led you to this 501c3 that you organize now.
Well, I started there as an executive assistant to the executive director of Heartland Human Care Services. And what that allowed me to do was see how to run a nonprofit professionally, but also see all the people that gave of their time and energy. And it wasn't just a job to them. And I was able to see what it was like behind the scenes, sit in board meetings, see how they should be run. And I was able also to be mentored by the executive director, David Sinsky, I remember on my first day, we had a meeting, and I don't know if he remembers this, but when we were on our way there was a conversation had about my future and said, well, where do you see yourself? And so I said, maybe on a board. No, I said something, minor. And he said, you can be on the board. You could run, the nonprofit. Don't, aim so low. And so that encouraged me. And so I paid attention and saw how, things went. And that's one of the things that led me where I'm at now.
Well, that's, I got to believe then you learned a lot about operations and,
Yes.
and things of that nature. So I'm, I'm a big guy. Numbers, numbers really excite me when you're talking about nonprofit versus businesses for profit.
Mm-hmm.
So help me understand now, because and this is for our listeners too. And that does nonprofit actually mean that you don't make any profit?
No, actually, as long as the profit you make is benefiting the organization, is what nonprofit means. So we have to make money somehow. So you may see us selling promotional items. Some people, like for example, Goodwill has a resale store. Is all the benefits, not all of it, but majority is to finance their work. So that's why a nonprofit can't have what some people think is a for-profit factor to it.
Hey, Robyn, let's delve into some of the programs that you actually offer. I
Mm-hmm.
noticed, like I said, this is Tuesday, Giving Tuesday, and I've probably received no less than 6 to 8 requests from different organizations, asking for donations. Here again, it being the end of the year, everyone's trying to, get additional write-offs for the taxes, which is strongly suggested. So
Yeah,
anytime you're a 501c3, you do qualify that anyone that donates to you will get a chance to write that off on their taxes. But tell us a little bit about your organization and what kind of differentiates you from, say, maybe another organization here in the Atlanta area.
sure. Number one, we're one of the smaller organizations. As I mentioned, we started 2 years ago. So none of our staff is paid. All of the board is unpaid. We're basically grassroots and we're building. So majority, I would say 90% of the income we receive goes to the people, the children that we serve. The rest goes to just administrative fees. The programs that we currently have, as I mentioned before, is Share the Love Month. We also have one of our biggest programs is our summer, what we call our summer sacks full of books giveaway. So that is a great big event. Surprisingly, the parents and the kids love it. So what we do is at the end of the school year, around June, we have this big book fair and everything is free. So we have books in every category and the kids can come and get like 5 books per person and they shop and pick out their own books. And so this is one to get them into loving reading, exploring. They get a bag full of arts and crafts to help them through the summer. And when the kids come, they're so excited. They're, eager and the parents are happy. We also had authors there, children book authors that will meet the kids so they can see what they can aspire to and tell them how to be authors. So that's one of our big summer programs. Then our Christmas giveaway. What we do with that is very different from a lot of other organizations because we focus on giving kids something specifically from their wish list. Now that takes a lot of work. It's a lot of extra work because we don't know what they want in advance. So we ask the parents, can you give us 2 or 3 things they want for Christmas? And then we do our best to get them something from that list within, our affordability. And it's also the whole goal is to make sure a child feels like they can, that esteem, that excitement during Christmas. When they go back to school, it can be embarrassing to tell your friends, oh, I didn't get anything for Christmas. So we're looking at their esteem. And also the parents. This is a hard time for parents when they're embarrassed and they're hurt because they can't give their kids food. They can't give their kids toys. And the kids been asking all year for these things. So you want to really help the parents. So we provide them grocery gift cards and things like that. So those are our major programs. Every year we try to add a program so that as we grow.
You know, Robin, I was as interesting to hear you say how you connect with the children and the parents. I was
Mhm.
involved in an outreach program when I was 16 years old,
Okay.
and the woman that I was working under, she had there was four of us in our high school that she recruited, and we had to
Mhm.
come up with our own programs. And as I look back at that experience, which is really what helped develop me in terms of community development, one
Mhm.
of the things that was missing in that piece was how to teach people how to save money, how to spend money,
Mm.
how to procure legacy wealth. And I'm just wondering if your program touches on those things at all.
Right now, we don't have a financial management program, but it is our goal. And one of our goals is to help the teenagers specifically, as you know, eventually the parents, but we focus on the kids. So, one of the things to your point, when I was in high school, I didn't learn about money like that. I didn't know how to do a budget. I didn't know how to, about credit cards. I didn't know anything. And so, when I went to college, I was flooded with the sign up, sign up. And so you easily get into that. So that is one of the programs we want to implement and educate the children so that they can develop. Now, it's definitely needed with the parents, but our focus, because we can't do everything, our focus is to get the kids successfully to adulthood. And so that's why I mentioned we're focusing on getting a program specifically for teens to educate them. Now, the people that we do serve, they also participate in other programs, and we also refer them to other programs to help them in different areas. So we partner with organizations that can, provide, that financial support and things like that. So our goal is really to just meet the need. One of the things people may say, you need to solve a problem. And I believe that it may sound negative, but poverty is always going to be there. But my goal is to minimize as much as possible. And I feel there's hope for the kids. And there's a lot going on, and you can't always fix everything. So if I can get the kids help and get the parents the help they need to help the kids, you see what I'm saying? Then I feel like we've accomplished our mission.
You have a great mission. I mean, because it's not a negative thing, but it says in the Bible you'll always have the poor. So but
Yes.
people like you out there targeting that's something that's so important. So kind of just take a couple minutes and talk to our audience about who is Robyn, how did you get to where you are today, because you seem to have a big heart, but I think it's
Yeah.
important that our audience understand a little bit about you and what your philosophy of life is.
Yes. So I know what it's like to be one of those people that didn't have. I was homeless. I struggled. My father, speaking to the financial side, my father worked in a bank. My father graduated from Wabash College. He was the co-founder of Malcolm X Institute Black Studies at Wabash College. And so I grew up believing in education. I grew up with the books and everything. And he died when I was 9 years old. And my mother became instantly a single mother. And there were struggles along the way. He left us money, but things happened. And so I went from, as they say, from the top to the bottom. And I grew up knowing what it was like to have to stand in line and ask for help and not be able to help it. So that passion you hear about the child in there, it comes from personal experience because you don't have a choice as a kid to change a lot. You have to depend on what's around you, your parents and everything. So anybody that could help me get to college, get to, you know, provide me with help, that was important. And so I fought to get to college. I fought to finish school. And I finally finished, and I have my bachelor's in 2011. I got my bachelor's of fine arts. And that was important to me because of the legacy that my father set. And I felt because of the trouble that I went through, the challenges, the financial challenges that I went through, and seeing how my mother, she didn't know a lot about finances, it enabled me to say, hey, I want to help. And I grew up in the church. So I started going to a church that really had a lot um, of impact on my life. I started being the head of the outreach ministry at Prayer and Faith Outreach Organization in Chicago. And we fed people once a month. And we were in what we call the hood, and people, they were in need. And you saw all kinds of people. And so we fed them every month and we cared for them and showed them love. And what I know personally is it's when you're going through, you messed up here and there, but for somebody to say, you know what, let me give you some food, let me get you a toy, kids, let me help you get to point A to point Z, it means a lot. And so when I created Share the Love, it was for me to continue doing what I love to do, what I've always wanted to do, which is help other people. And think about it not so much from, okay, you have X amount of income, you can sign up, show me that you're on public aid, show me this and that. I just want to help people. I want to help people that may not fit in all of those boxes. Sometimes you could be middle class and you don't fit the boxes. You're just above what they say you should have to support your family. But for you, it's a huge gap. And so I felt that my personal experience could help me really formulate programs that could help in those areas. I remember I went to a soup kitchen. We didn't have electricity. We were struggling to pay the bill for electricity, and we would eat out every day. And so when they gave us food, it was dry goods and canned food. And so we had boxed cereal and canned milk. That, we was grateful, but it was horrible. If you try to eat cereal and evaporated milk and mix it with water, that's terrible. So I try to think outside the box. Those are the things that, make me think outside the box to try to help people. And that's who I am. That's where I come from.
Super. So before we go any further, if people want to donate, tell them how they can get in touch with you.
They can visit our website at www.sharetheloveoutreach.com. And on there, they can click donate, and it'll take them right to our PayPal website so they can donate. We also have a page on there that says ways to donate, which will give you our information if you want to pay through Cash App, Zelle, or any other method. We have those options for you. But go to sharetheloveoutreach.com.
Great. Robyn, I have a question in terms of
Yeah.
your funding. Do you rely upon primarily government funding, corporate funding, or is it by word of mouth, if you will, from just, the, I guess the neighbor, if you will? How
Right.
does that balance out?
So right now we have two main sources of income: individual donors, as you said, word of mouth, and also corporate grants. So because we're young and small, we don't qualify for a lot of major grants yet. So we get grants from Cobb, EMC, Greystone Power, retail stores like Ross. They'll donate gift cards, things like that. So we have been recipients of those. Publix. All of them have supported us. So our main source of income are grants and individual donors right now.
So that qualification process must be something of sorts that uh, I guess it impedes you to a certain degree because of whatever
Yeah.
the barriers are. Because I'm sure there's other nonprofit organizations, and hopefully they're listening to this podcast. Because from things that you're sharing with us today, I'm pretty sure, pretty positive that's going to help others, people out there that's looking to do well in the community, do good in the community, and do well for themselves. As you know, in addition to that, so
Yes.
leads me to this question: what would you recommend that another person, and maybe similar to yourself, Robyn, in that they've inherited or they have this dream to start a nonprofit?
Mm-hmm.
What things should they have in place already, so that because you've been through the trenches, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you've
Yes.
probably had some pitfalls of your own.
Mm-hmm.
What advice would you give to another person that's thinking of a nonprofit organization?
I would definitely say prepare in advance, get your bylaws together, get contact, figure out who's going to be your attorney, your financial person, figure out how you're going to get your funding. If you're dependent on governmental grants, then you may need to have certain things in place before you can get there because they require different things, specific locations, specific budgets. They require some places say you have to have a minimum budget of 150,000 or more, over $500,000 or more. So starting small, you have to go in knowing you don't have that kind of budget. So what can you practically do? Can you do your mission with the funds that you expect to get? So I think preparation is key, and research.
Sounds good. So, for our listening audience, if you had a wish list, what would be the top two things on that wish list? Not just for this coming season, but and maybe in the year 2025 going forward.
Well, we definitely need books. We're getting ready for our summer Sacks Full of Books giveaway, children books. We looking for books grade K through 12.
Okay.
So we also need we're looking for monthly donors. If anybody is looking for an organization where they can set a certain amount and do a recurring donation, we would appreciate that because that helps us to anticipate funds and know that we have this amount in the bank so we can do more. So those are the two things.
That's something interesting. Kind of
Mhm.
expand on that a little bit. What's the difference between those that say give you $100 and those that donate $12 a month?
Well, the difference is when someone gives a one-time donation, you don't know if you're going to get anything else.
Mm.
So you're constantly pursuing that money. You're like, hey, sending them information, emails, trying to go after them, wine and dine them, so to speak, try to get that money to keep coming because you can give $100 and that $100 is going to be used like that.
Mm.
You can give $1,000, it can be used like that. So, but it hinders us when we don't have expectation of funds. So,
Mm.
as I said, being small, I don't have a government contract that says I get the full amount for this whole year or for this particular project. I'm working every day to finance these programs. I'm working on faith. So I'm pushing. And so if I know I got $12 coming a month, I say, okay, good. I can plan for this.
Mm.
If $100, I can plan for this. And you can always cancel at any time. But if anybody wants to be a recurring donor, it's set up through our PayPal. When you click donate, you can easily check mark and say, make this a recurring donation.
That's good. I'm glad you mentioned the PayPal and clicking on things because I was going to
Mhm.
ask you what part of your organization deals with pounding the bricks. That is to say, to go to corporations and ask for their money, to
Okay.
go to individuals and ask for their money. Tell us a little bit about how that works for you guys.
So for us, myself and my husband, who's our chief financial officer, we hit the ground running researching. So I have a mentor with Goodwill that I talk to who told me to basically make sure I look at the private foundations because that is a better resource for smaller organizations that are just getting their feet wet. And so what that means for me to pound the pavement is to see what I qualify for. So basically we have this phrase called be grant ready. So as long as I have my financials in place, some companies, they just want to see your budget for the year. They want to see your bank statements or something like that. And then you tell them what you're doing and you file a report. Those are the kind of organizations or businesses that I look for. And I literally have a software system where if I find a grant that we could qualify for, I record the deadline, the link, what is required, and so that I can create a calendar and say, okay, this is due that day. This application is due that day. And then I follow up and I send it out. And then once that's done, I'm building a system of recurring donations, and I can track what we were approved for, what we weren't, and things like that.
Man, this is super. And I'm of course those that do donate. Do you send out receipts for their tax donations every
Absolutely.
year?
So I do that every year. And every time someone donates, I send them a personal thank you email with a receipt. So you'll get an individual receipt on every donation. And then at the beginning of the year, I also send your annual statement for everything that you gave for the year.
Oh, super. Well, as we wrap, you want to give that information one more time as far as how
Sure.
to get in touch with you?
Yes, visit us online at www.sharetheloveoutreach.com and click donate.
Robyn, I have one more question before we
Yes.
wrap up. After you've gone through all the rigors of your organization, um, what do you do for fun?
So I love TV, Netflix, cooking shows. I am a British baking, all the British baking. Ironically love British shows, mysteries. And then I'm a reader, so I love to read, and those are my two favorites. And African American history and studies, so I love that.
So
That's how I relax.
that's your release. That's how you
Yes,
calm and recollect and get back to
yes,
it.
I
Great, great,
do.
great, great.
Oh, that's super. Yeah. Hey, and also keep us in mind as you put together more programs as far, especially financial literacy, those kind of things. And keep us in mind. Maybe we can help you out with that.
Thank you so much. That would be great.
All right. Hey, this has been another great episode of Crotchety Old Man. You guys have been on your better behavior today, not as jovial as normal. Robyn kind of calmed you guys down, but hey,
Oh
it's been
yeah,
a good
well, we had a little light from the gentle lady. You see, we
one.
Yeah, she should dare mess with that halo around her head.
that's
Yeah,
right.
Keep
yeah,
glowing.
exactly. So, hey, as we always do on the Crotchety Old Man, what kind of words of wisdom do we have for our audience?
I've got the perfect I've got the perfect affirmation today, considering that bright halo and that bright smile that she started us out with. So the affirmation starts out with be the light. Be authentic. Show yourself as who you are, who you really are, and inspire others to do the same. Break the chains that bind you and show others by example that they can do the same too.
Wow. As always, you're spot on. Definitely spot on. And as we always say on the Crotchety Old Man, if you didn't know,
Now you
now
Now
know,
you
you
know.
know.
All right, take care. Be blessed.
Robyn.
Bye.
Yes.